Yo, yo. Hi. Hey. How's it going? Happy Thursday. Happy day of abundance, expansion. Happy day of January. We're about at the end. Wow. Wasn't it just Christmas? Well, I hope you're all having a very good first month of the year. How's my sound? Is it working so good? Let's find out. Is it working so good? It is. Nice. All right, we love that. Okay, then. So, here we are, back for some more Crowley. I warned you. And maybe you've been wondering why Crowley. Well, if you're wondering that, then maybe your understanding of magic isn't as good as you think it is. And that's exactly it. Because in a lot of ways, Crowley is one of the best of the best. And also, you know, already some of the instructional stuff we've gone over should kind of speak for itself. But let's be real. If we well, why I want to read Crowley is because once your goddess welcome it says why not Crowley? Yeah, exactly. Why not Crowley? Well, because I don't know. I get that some people let the way he was as a man versus the way he was as a magician get in the way. But hey, we're here for the sauce. We're here for the magic. You know what I mean? You know that. But right, so we're gonna do these instructional things because, well, then, well, like as I've already said, then you don't have to go pay somebody advertising their magical salesmanship online to teach you stuff that you can just get so easily for just buying them, like I said, buying the books that that person already read and just did the stuff from. Now you have it. But here's also why. Because at the very least, if you're not going to do this stuff, but you're going to hear it, well, you're going to hear along with that, yep, basically everything in the modern day is just a pale imitation for the most part of Crowley. Most modern books you read, if you're read up on your Crowley, you realize, oh, this is just Crowley, but with like a little bit of this particular author's personal flavor added in. But so that's one thing we don't need anymore in the occult is we certainly don't need just any more rehashes of Crowley. We don't need any more books. How many freaking Goetia books do we need? Let's be serious. Welcome in, everybody, just coming in. Good to have you here. You know, the very wise and very powerful Manly P. Hall had said, and he was referring to ancient Greece and specifically the city of Athens and their education process, their schooling. And he said that the teacher, once you had proven yourself worthy of the schooling, the teacher would say that you need to understand education isn't free. Even though I'm not charging you anything, it comes with the cost of responsibility because to be educated on these higher levels, you now have a duty to the common good of your fellow man. So that's especially certain types of spirits like the Goetia are just they're and just magic in general, the amount of work, the the things the spirits themselves are going to put you through is more than enough of a cost that you don't need to feel like you paid all this money on top of it when again you could just read the books, do the things in the books. But that's about enough of that. Okay, my sound is working, my music is playing. So we're gonna get to slaying just as soon as I take a sip from a drink, huh? And let's do a little experiment from our study yesterday. So if any of you have started that, which hopefully you have, at the very least, you've started this one, and it's this tarot one for the clairvoyance. So here's how Uncle Al wants us to do it. So shuffle your deck up, and this is for that very beginning stage as well. Shuffle your deck up pretty good, and hopefully it's a deck you use frequently. Or if you have a friend who's like a really good tarot reader and has a well-worn deck they don't mind letting you borrow for this purpose, then that's what he also suggests. Welcome in, everybody just coming in. Okay, so now that we're good and shuffled, he says, cut the deck. So we'll cut it there. The top card. And now what we're going to do is we are going to, first of all, we either guess the suit. So the element, WT, welcome. William Royal, welcome. Or if it's a trumps. This card feels a lot to me like it's either a trump or a discs. Let's find out. Oh, the Emperor even. Ho, ho, ho. So it was a trump. There you go. So it was a trump card. And there he is seated on his throne. We've got Aries there. We've got Zadi, the path of Zadi. That's the path connecting Yesod to Netzach. So that's how you'll do it. And again, you'll want to keep a very strict magical record. So have your notebook there. Maybe start by writing, once you've shuffled it up and you've cut it, maybe have two columns. Have the column that's your guess and the column that's the actual card you pull. Then, as you get further along in the practice, you'll want to get more specific. So we'll try that now. Okay, shuffle, cut. That card there is the one. And this card is a cups. This card is specifically the Four of Cups. Let's see. And I was dead wrong. It's the moon. It's the moon card. So one for two, huh? Moon card. Shout out Pisces, the goat. As in, well, they're the fish, but the greatest of all time, that goat. This card is one of the most beautiful ones in this deck. As you can see, you've got Lady Kefra, the scarab there, bringing the sun back up from its dark night of the soul. Its wanderings through that treacherous land of darkness, that sinister landscape that takes us through the gates of death. Okay, well, enough tarot. The energy, so that doubles as a reading. That can be our little reading that we like to do, as well as actually an example of the clairvoyant aspects of the practice from Liber E. So Emperor and the Moon, huh? Both of those are connecting us to Netzach. So there's clearly a Venusian energy present from Malkuth and from Yesod. So that's the material plane and the subconscious realms. All right, you guys. So today we are going to get into, where is it at? My bookmark here. Liber O. This one is going to teach us things like pentagram rituals and a few other fun little things as well. So I hope you're all ready. Hope you're excited. And I hope you are eager to put these into practice if you are not already doing so. I'm going to emphasize that. Do it. Don't just learn about it a lot. Because that's what we're about over here on this channel. We're about doing the great work, not just listening to people yap about how they're doing it. All right, let's get right into it then. 10 minutes later, nah, not a big deal. Mr. Jax 26 asks name of the book. Well, this specifically is called Liber O, Mr. Jax 26. It's from the instructional pamphlets of the Great Beast 666, Aleister Crowley. All right, Liber O, vel manus et sagittae, subfigura 6, section 1. This book is very easy to misunderstand. Readers are asked to use the most minute critical care in the study of it, even as we have done in the preparation. In this book, it is spoken of the Sephiroth and the paths, of spirits and conjurations, of gods, spheres, planes, and many other things which may or may not exist. It is immaterial whether these exist or not. By doing certain things, certain results will follow. Students are most earnestly warned against attributing objective reality or philosophic validity to any of them. Let's read that one more time. By doing certain things, certain results will follow. Students are most earnestly warned against attributing objective reality or philosophic validity to any of them. The advantages to be gained from them are chiefly these: a widening of the horizon of the mind, an improvement of the control of the mind. The student, if he attains any success in the following practices, will find himself confronted by things, ideas, or beings too glorious or too dreadful to be described. It is essential that he remain the master of all that he beholds, hears, or conceives. Otherwise, he will be the slave of illusion and the prey of madness. Before entering upon any of these practices, the student should be good in health and have attained a fair mastery of asana, pranayama, and dharana. So that's some of the major things we already have read about from Liber E. If you haven't checked out the Liber E video, go do it. Go get to work, because you're going to need that well in place before you start with this. You heard it from Uncle Al himself. Okay, there is little danger that any student, however idle or stupid, will fail to get some result, but there is great danger that he will be led astray, obsessed, and overwhelmed by his results, even though it be by those which it is necessary that he should attain. Too often, moreover, he mistaketh the first resting place for the goal, and taketh off his armor as if he were a victor ere the fight is well begun. It is desirable that the student should never attach to any result the importance which it at first seems to possess. So there you go. How many of you have been running wild with your downloads, with your gnosis? How many of you have gotten 6 spirit communications and you just took it straight to the bank? Well, tisk tisk. That's okay. Usually those mistakes aren't going to be so bad you can't recover from them. But unfortunately for some people, well, he already said you'll be the prey of madness. And yeah, you do this long enough, you'll certainly see that happen at least a little bit here and there. Anyway, first then, let us consider the book 777 and its use. The preparation of the place, the use of the magical ceremonies, and finally the methods which follow in chapter 5, Viator and Regnis Arboris, and in chapter 6, Sagitta Trans Lunam. In another book, it will be treated of the expansion and contraction of consciousness, progress by slaying the chakras, progress by slaying the pairs of opposites, the methods of Sabhapati Swami, etc. And those chapters are Latin, and he has the translations down here. So chapter 5 translates to Traveler in the Kingdom of the Tree, and chapter 6 translates to Arrow past the Moon. Sick. Well, that's a lot like the Emperor and the Moon card, huh? Funny how that works. Welcome in to those of you just popping in. Always great to see you coming in and leaving, whatever, do what you got to do. All right. So, section 2. The student must first obtain a thorough knowledge of book 77, especially of the columns printed elsewhere in this book. So in this book, book 4, Liber Abba, or in 777 proper, There are tables with Kabbalistic correspondences, and especially if you do join a group like the AA, you are going to have to memorize those correspondences. You're not going to be upset you had to do it, but just like I said already before, this they don't call it the great work for nothing. When these are committed to memory, he will begin to understand the nature of these correspondences, and especially along with the study of Kabbalah, which a lot of you have already got a good grasp on. You know, we did already a reading here. Travis has done plenty of great in-depth studies of especially Dion Fortune's mystical Kabbalah. And those are going to be ones that will just help you have such a good, clear understanding of what Kabbalah actually is. If we take an example, the use of the tables will become clear. Let us suppose that you wish to obtain knowledge of some obscure science. In column XLV, what is that? That's 45. Line 12, you will find knowledge of sciences. By now, looking up line 12 in the other columns, you will find that the planet corresponding is Mercury. It's number 8. Its lineal figures the octagon and octagram, the god who rules the planet Thoth, or in Hebrew symbolism, Tetragrammaton Adonai and Elohim Zabaoth, its archangel Raphael, its choir of angels Beni Elohim, its intelligence Tyria, its spirit Tafthartharath. Its colors orange, for Mercury is the sphere of the Sephira Hod. 8. Yellow, purple, gray, and indigo rayed with violet. Its magical weapon, the wand or caduceus. Its perfumes, mastic and others. Its sacred plants, vervain and others. Its jewel, the opal or agate. Its sacred animal, the snake, etc., etc. You would then prepare your place of working accordingly. In an orange circle, you would draw an 8-pointed star of yellow, at whose points you would place 8 lamps. The sigil of the spirit, which is to be found in Cornelius Agrippa and other books, you would draw, and I'm sure at this point you can just Google that and it'll pop right up. In case you don't have, a good stack of these books lying around. You should, though. Again, if you're a pretty serious student, then there's going to be a handful of things you absolutely want to have. So get Agrippa, get Crowley, get Regardi's Golden Dawn. You know what I mean? Lots of these books so that that are going to have all these things to reference in at the very least. Okie dokie. There we were. Agrippa. The sigil of the spirit you would draw in the 4 colors with such other devices as your experience may suggest, and so on. We cannot here enter at length into all the necessary preparations, and the student will find them fully set forth in the proper books, of which the Goetia is perhaps the best example. So see, oh man, there's other uses for the book, for the lesser key, than just looking at a list of demons and being like, oh, whoa, this demon can bring me treasure. Oh, what demon do I summon? Oh, let me pull up the lesser key. Huh? Have fun with that. Don't have fun. You're gonna not have fun with that most likely. So just have a heads up that you're gonna have a bad time, as they say. These rituals need, unless read the thing front to back at the very least. Don't just go popping in there on what spirit you summon to, I don't know, get back at your ex who dumped you because you're a jerk, or to I don't know, whatever. All right, enough rambling. Let's read. These rituals need not be slavishly imitated. On the contrary, the student should do nothing the object of which he does not understand. Also, if he have any capacity whatever, he will find his own crude rituals more effective than the highly polished ones of other people. The general purpose of all this preparation is as follows. Since the student is a man surrounded by material objects, if it be his wish to master one particular idea, he must make every material object about him directly suggest that idea. Thus, in the ritual quoted, if his glance falls upon the lights, their number suggests Mercury. He smells the perfumes, and again, Mercury is brought to his mind. In other words, the whole magical apparatus and ritual is a complex system of mnemonics. The importance of these lie principally in the fact that particular sets of images that the student may meet in his wanderings correspond to particular lineal figures, divine names, etc., and are controlled by them, as to the possibility of producing results external to the mind of the seer. Objective in the ordinary common sense acceptation of the term. We are here silent. There are three more important practices connected with all forms of ceremonial and the two methods which later we shall describe. These are assumption of God forms, vibration of divine names, rituals of banishing and invoking. These, at least, should be completely mastered before the dangerous methods of chapter 5 and 6 are attempted. Section 3. The magical images of the gods of Egypt should be made thoroughly familiar. This can be done by studying them in any public museum or in such books as may be accessible to the student. They should then be carefully painted by him both from the model and from memory. The student seated in the god position or in the characteristic attitude of the god desired should then imagine his image as coinciding with his own body or as enveloping it. This must be practiced until mastery of the image is attained and an identity with it and with the god experienced. It is a matter for very great regret that no simple and certain tests of success in this practice exist. The vibration of God names, as a further means of identifying the human consciousness with that pure portion of it which man calls by the name of some God, let him act thus. Stand with arms outstretched. Let's see. He has a note though for this injunction does not apply to gods like Ptah or Harpocrates, whose natures do not accord with this gesture. And he's got some illustrations for us on the next page. I think some of those are on there. Breathe in deeply through the nostrils, imagining the name of the god desired entering with the breath. Let the name descend slowly from the lungs to the heart, the solar plexus, the navel, the generative organs, and so to the feet. The moment that it appears to touch the feet, quickly advance the left foot about 12 inches. Throw forward the body and let the hands, drawn back to the side of the eyes, shoot out so that you are standing in the typical position of the god Horus. And at the same time, imagine the name is rushing up and through the body while you breathe it out through the nostrils with the air which has been till then retained in the lungs. All this must be done with all the force of which you are capable. Okay. So here we have some images. So if you're just listening, you'll want to take a sec or you'll want to come back when you have a moment to take a look at some of these. And again, definitely get this book and put it on your shelf because that's just going to be way better. Okay, so water, the goddess Aramoth over here, we see figure 3E. Figure, oh, he starts at the A, so we'll go alphabetically. So sign of Horus, aka sign of the Emperor, which is also he has the grades that they're connected with. So that's a 0 equals 0. So that's that one there. He talks about you'll step your foot forward, you'll put your hands out. 34B, sign of Harpocrates, silence. So you've got your feet one sideways, the other forward, and then the finger pressed to the lips, the type of silence. Then we come up, which is Earth, the god Set fighting. So your feet will stay the same as they were before, and then you'll have a hand down, hand up. Air, so up to 34D, Air, the god Shu supporting the sky. So now you'll have your feet, heels touching, but in kind of that V shape, and then your arms up like this, like you're supporting the sky. 34E, Water, the goddess Aramoth. And so now you can see he's got the feet the same, and then it might be kind of hard to see on the phone, but it looks like he's making the Yoni mudra with his hands. 34F, Fire, the goddess Dom Eshnith, Neith. I'm not an expert on how these names are said. I just do my best. Okay, so feet here, spread or heels touching still, feet the same. And then now it looks like that yoni, so is going to go above your head, but with your palms out instead of in. So your palm should be facing inward to you on that water sign, and down low here. Up high here, you'll see up on the head, now on, and then palms out. Now 34G, spirit, the rending and closing of the veil. So feet about the same. You bring your hands, he can see his hands with like the palms kind of down and out to the side, and then bringing it in, almost like you're clasping them in front of the heart with a little clap. There you go. Now over here, we got a little bit more. Let's see, what direction is he going, boy? Okay, so now he's going to give us the LVX signs. So that's going to be Osiris slain, with your arms out like a cross. The morning of Isis, which they also call the swastika. So you'll have your one foot kind of put up and behind you, arm down, arm raised up. Typhon, the trident, arms up, outstretched up to the side like that. Then Osiris risen, aka the pentagram, and so his arms are crossed over his chest like that. All right, KL comes after K. What? You know what? That doesn't matter. Okay. The sign. So he has the Nox signs here as well. So Pur, Chem, Horus, and Mentu. One hand kind of over the genitals there. The one hand up like you're I don't know, swearing an oath. Then you'll come over here for the Virgo Pater Amun attitude of Pan or Bacchus. So that almost like he's got the hands at the side, and then the thumbs are almost sort of like the horns of Pan or Bacchus. And then the X, Isis in welcome, sign of Babylon, attitude of Baphomet, babe of the abyss. So legs spread now. Now you're using your arms almost like they're the whole horns. And then Puella Venus Pudica, sign of chastity, babe of the abyss. So that's what both of these are. Again, those bottom ones are the grades. Feet together. Again, you've got, it's like you got the one arm here and the one arm here, and it's almost like you're holding like an invisible babe or something like that, you could say. Okay, and then the last one here, Master Triumphans, Isis rejoicing, Isis with Horus, Set triumphant. And so it's similar to this last one, but the hands will be a bit more close together. They're farther apart here, and your head's going to be tilted down, whereas this one you're going to be looking straight forward. Hands here. Guess what's awesome? This is what is awesome about the internet age, is you can look up and find people kind of showing a little bit more clear examples if this is not as clear to you. All right then. Okay, so before we got interrupted, he was in the middle of telling us some stuff, so we might want to go back so that reads a little more smoothly. So standing with arms outstretched, breathe in deeply through the nostrils, imagining the name of the God desired entering with the breath. Let that name descend slowly from the lungs to the heart, the solar plexus, the navel, the generative organs, and so down to the feet. The moment that it appears to touch the feet, quickly advance the left foot about 12 inches. Throw forward the body and let the hands, drawn back to the side of the eyes, shoot out so that you are standing in the typical position of the god Horus. And at the same time, imagine the name as rushing up and through the body while you breathe it out through the nostrils with the air which has been till then retained in the lungs. All this must be done with all the force of which you are capable. Then withdraw the left foot and place the right forefinger or thumb, with fingers being crossed, the thumb symbolizing spirit, the forefinger the element of water, upon the lips, so that you are in the characteristic position of the god Harpocrates. It is a sign that the student is performing this correctly when a single vibration entirely exhausts his physical strength. It should cause him to grow hot all over or to perspire violently, and it should so weaken him that he will find it difficult to remain standing. It is a sign of success, though only by the student himself is it perceived when he hears the name of the god vehemently roared forth, as if by the concourse of 10,000 thunders, and it should appear to him as if that great voice proceeded from the universe and not from himself. In both the above practices, all consciousness of anything but the God form and name should be absolutely blotted out, and the longer it takes for normal perception to return, the better. Section 4. The rituals of the pentagram and hexagram must be committed to memory. They are as follows. The lesser ritual of the pentagram. Touching the forehead, say Ate. Touching the breast, say Mauku. Touching the right shoulder, say Vigebura. Touching the left shoulder, say Vigedula, which all that translates into unto thee the kingdom and the power and the glory. Clasping the hands upon the breast, say Leolam Amen. To the ages, Amen. Turning to the east, make a pentagram, that of earth with the proper weapon, usually the wand, say, i.e., vibrate, Yod He Vav He. And there's also, if you know, you're going to have your magical tools, but there's also the mudras. They'll teach you the wand mudra or the dagger slash sword mudra. But I'm going to challenge you to go look those up yourself. They're real easy to find and they're really easy to do. And then that way, oh, it's like Damien Eccles said at one point too. You what you want to be able to do is not rely so much on all these tools and temple setups and all of that. Like when you can have that and use that, sure, it's great. It just helps to strengthen things, get you in the mood that much more, all of that. But what you really want is to be able to just be dropped off in the middle of the wilderness, the middle of the jungle, the middle of the desert, whatever, and just be able to start doing magic. And you can definitely do that by learning things like the proper mudras to use to symbolize a wand or a sword, etc. Okay, and still doing all this, you know what I mean? Even some of that. Okay, one more quick digression. So even some of that stuff like that Liber 8 stuff, um, Crowley, or we're gonna do Liber Samic after this, which is his other HGA one, based on the Bornless ritual, and what he's giving you is like a general idea. Like obviously, if you can follow it to the letter, that's going to be great. That's going to be powerful. But I mean, he himself didn't do a whole bunch of stuff with super glamorous temple setups. I mean, he would, but it's not like that's the way he always did it every single time. I don't know that there's about any magician out there other than maybe people who have the money and the space and time and all that to do so, who have like a super crazy wild temple setup and they can afford to, you know. So just again, do your very best. Intention does matter, but it's going to be that pure intention from the heart, not the type of intention that's like just some silliness. You know what I mean? Like I can put cake mix in my coffee maker and intend to make coffee, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. That kind of example. All right. Anyway. So turning to the east, make a pentagram, that of earth, with the proper weapon, usually the wand, and say Yod He Vav He. Turning to the south, do the same pentagram, but say Adonai. Turning to the west, the same, but say Eheyi. Turning to the north, the same, but say Agalah. Extending the arms in the form of a cross, say, before me, Raphael. Behind me, Gabriel. On my left hand, Michael, or Michael. On my left hand, Ariel, or Uriel. For about me, and then say, for about me flames the pentagram, and in the column stands the six-rayed star. Repeat 1 to 5, so the Kabbalistic cross. Pretty easy. Okay. The greater ritual of the pentagram. The pentagrams are traced in the air with the sword or other weapon, the name spoken aloud, and the signs used as illustrated. He's showing that here, invoking here, banishing here. For your equilibriums of your actives, Ahie, equilibrium of the passives, Agala. And in this figure, he's showing pentagrams of spirit. The signs of the portal, see illustrations. Extend the hands in front of you, palms outward, separate them as if in the act of rending asunder a veil or curtain, actives, and then bring them together as if closing it up again and let them fall to the side, passives. The grade of the portal is particularly attributed to the element of spirit. It refers to the sun. The paths of Samek, Noon, and Oyan are attributed to this degree. See 777 lines 6 and 31. Okay, now down here, pentagram of fire, he shows. So for invoking, top down to the right, banishing, bottom right up to the top. The name for that's going to be Elohim. So you'll be vibrating with Elohim. The sign of 4 degrees equals, or 4 equals 7. Raise the arms above the head and join the hands so that the tips of the fingers and of the thumbs meet. Formulate a triangle. See illustration. So that's going to be what I was just showing you on those back pages. So you'll want, if you don't have this book, then yeah, you probably will want to go back, pause, screenshot, so you can see which, because like I said, it shows these grades. So that he's talking about the sign of 4 equals 7. I'll go back for that one, but I ain't going back for all of them, which is going to be over here. So see, for fire, and we're on this fire pentagram. So the goddess Thoma Shnith. All right, there you go. And it says 4 equals 7 underneath. Wow, really easy, pretty simple, pretty awesome. Don't you just love magic? Okay. So then he says, the grade of 4 equals 7 is particularly attributed to the element fire. It refers to the planet Venus. The paths of Kuf, Zadi, hey, we got 2 of those today, huh? And Pe are attributed to this degree. For other attributions, see 777, lines 7 and 31. All right. So now we're on to the pentagrams of water. And again, here he has the illustrations of where you'll start for invoking and which direction you'll start the tracing, banishing. And this name will be El. The sign of 3 equals 8. Raise the arms till the elbows are on a level with the shoulders. Bring the hands across the chest, touching the thumbs and tips of the fingers to so as to form a triangle apex downwards. There we go. The grade of 3 equals 8 is particularly attributed to the element of water. It refers to the planet Mercury. The paths of Resh and Sheen are attributed to this degree. For other attributions, see 777 lines 8 and 23. So that's another thing about the AA, real quick, I'll say, is that as you advance through the different degrees and grades, same difference. In the AA, it's also matched up. It's paired up to the tree of life. So then, based on the tree of life on the Kabbalah, as you work through that initiatory system, you will essentially advance up the tree from Malkuth up to Kether, should you advance all the way, that is. All right. The pentagrams of air, shown right here. The name for that's going to be Yod He Vav He, or Yehovah. The sign of 2 equals 9. Stretch both arms upward and outwards, the elbows bent at right angles, the hands bent back, the palms upwards as if supporting a weight. The grade of 2 equals 9 is particularly attributed to the element air. It refers to the moon. The path of Tau is attributed to this degree. For other attributions, see 777 lines 9 and 11. Okay, and last but certainly not least, the pentagrams of Earth. So those you should be, before you get into this greater ritual of the pentagram, you should be pretty familiar with this from the lesser pentagram rituals. So he gave us the banishing, but you'll also want to make yourself familiar with the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram. Again, I mean, I don't know, maybe at some point we'll touch on some of that, but I certainly want to try to entice some of you to go and figure out a little bit of this on your own as you also do these practices on your own. It's really easy stuff to figure out. Otherwise I would just spoon feed it all to you. All right, so pentagrams of Earth, and the name for those is Adonai. The sign of 1 equals 10. Advance the right foot, stretch out the right hand upwards and forwards, the left hand downwards and backwards, the palms open. The grade of 1 equals 10 is particularly attributed to the element of Earth. See line 7 or C777 lines 10 and 32. Now there are like some things that Crowley's leaving out because there were some certain mouth to ear type of things you would get along with, being given these different Libers as part of the OTO or the AA. So if you're part of those organizations, then guess what? You're gonna figure that out easy. Otherwise, as of right now, I think it would be more counterproductive to overburden you with some of that. But you can figure that out also from like Regardi's Golden Dawn. All right, the lesser ritual of the hexagram. This ritual is to be performed after the lesser ritual of the pentagram. Stand upright, feet together, left arm at the side, right across the body, holding wand or other weapon upright in the median line. Then face east and say, Inri Yod Nun Resh Yod. He has the spelling there. Virgo, but you'll also say Virgo, Isis, Mighty Mother, Scorpio, Apophis, Destroyer, Soul, Osiris, Slain and Risen, Isis, Apophis, Osiris, Iao. Extend the arms in the form of a cross and say, the sign of Osiris slain. See illustration. Raise the right arm to point upwards, and keeping the elbow square, and lower the left arm to point downwards, keeping the elbow square, while turning the head over the left shoulder, looking down so that the eyes follow the left forearm, and say, the sign of the morning of Isis. See illustration. Those are back on the illustrations. Raise the arms at an angle of 60 degrees to each other above the head, which is thrown back, and say, the sign of Apophis and Typhon. See illustration. Cross the arms on the breast, then bow the head and say, the sign of Osiris risen. See illustration. Extend the arms again as in number 3. So you'll start with that sign of Osiris slain, but then cross them again as in number 6, saying LVX, Lux, the light of the cross. So this is like the equivalent of how you'll do the Kabbalistic cross. So for the hexagram, you'll do these. Now, with the magical weapon, trace the hexagram of fire in the east, which we see over here, which you know what a hexagram looks like, but if you haven't done these, it's actually the triangles might be different from when you normally see the upright triangle and the inverted one. They're all a little slightly different. So for the fire, your top triangle you'll draw first, starting like this, going, and then the second one down here, slightly overlapping. And as you trace it in the east, you'll say Ararita, which word consists of the initials of a sentence, which means one is his beginning, one is his individuality, his permutation is one. This hexagram consists of two equilateral triangles, both apices pointing upwards. Beginning at the top of the upper triangle and trace it in a dextro-rotary direction. The top of the lower triangle should coincide with the central point of the upper triangle. So you can see that here. So sick. I love magic. Oh, and I love this book holder. It's such a wonderful tool to have. It's a little hard to make it work with a book this big, but hey, we're still doing it fine, baby. All right. So this one is actually going to be what you normally, the hexagram of Earth is the one that when you normally see the hexagrams, but otherwise then you'll see as we go. So trace the hexagram of Earth in the south, saying Ararita. This hexagram has the apex of the lower triangle pointing downwards, and it should be capable of inscription in a circle. So with the upright triangle, you'll start at the top point and then draw that triangle, and then the downward facing triangle, you'll still start at the point down, but then you'll go up the left side. So right there, just follow the figure real easy. Okay, so now on to trace the hexagram of air in the west, saying Ararita. The hexagram is like that of Earth, but the bases of the triangles coincide, forming a diamond. So you see that here again, starting with the upper triangle and then the lower one. Pretty sick. All right, and then last but not least, trace the hexagram of water in the north, saying Ararita. This hexagram has the lower triangle placed above the upper so that their apices coincide. So see that here. So the upright triangle, the one that's facing upwards, you'll still draw first, but it's at the bottom here. And then boom. Sick. Looks like it's the hourglass on a Black Widow, huh? Okay, and then repeat 12 or for repeat 1 to 7. So that LDX formula with the different god forms. The banishing ritual is identical, save that the direction of the hexagrams must be reversed. Yeah, because these ones are invoking. Okay. All right, you guys. So for the greater ritual of the hexagram, so you'll see there's these planetary attributions and the ways you'll trace them all up. To invoke or banish planets or zodiacal signs, the hexagram of Earth alone is used. Draw, so that's why all of them are the same shape as what you'll draw in the hexagram ritual for the hexagram of Earth, but then depending on how you draw it. Draw the hexagram beginning from the point which is attributed to the planet you are dealing with. Okay, just checking the footnotes. Some of them are worth reading and some of them, aren't really, because he's just referring you to say 777 there. Thus, to invoke Jupiter, begin from the right-hand point of the lower triangle, dextro-rotary, and complete. Then trace the upper triangle from its left-hand point and complete. So we see that here, Jupiter, and then he's showing you those different tracings. Okay, trace the astrological sigil of the planet in the center of your hexagram. For the zodiac, use the hexagram of the planet which rules the sign you require. So, like for the moon, if you're trying to banish Cancer, then, or if you're trying to banish Cancer, for example, you would do the moon. For Caput and Cauda Draconis, use the lunar hexagram with the sigil of, I mean, that kind of looks like Leo right there. To banish, reverse the hexagram. In all cases, use a conjuration first with Ararita and next with the name of the god corresponding to the planet or sign you are dealing with. It looks like Leo, but I don't think it's Leo. I don't know. I think it's Greek. I don't know on that one. The hexagrams pertaining to the planets are as in plate on preceding page. These rituals should be practiced until the figures drawn appear in flame so near to physical flame that it would perhaps be visible to the eyes of a bystander, were one present. It is alleged that some persons have attained the power of actually kindling fire by these means. Whether this be so or not, the power is not one to be aimed at. Success in banishing is known by a feeling of cleanness in the atmosphere, success in invoking by a feeling of holiness. It is unfortunate that these terms are so vague. But at least make sure of this, that any imaginary figure or being shall instantly obey the will of the student when he uses the appropriate figure. In obstinate cases, the form of the appropriate god may be assumed. The banishing rituals should be used at the commencement of any ceremony whatever. Next, the student should use a general invocation, such as the preliminary invocation in the Goetia. And that's also going to be in Liber Somic. So we haven't done that yet. We will do that. But if you're somebody who's coming into this in the future, then go find the video and check it out. As well as a special invocation to suit the nature of his workings. Success in these verbal invocations is so subtle a matter and its grades so delicately shaded that it must be left to the good sense of the student to decide whether or not he should be satisfied with the result. All right, section 5. Let the student be at rest in one of his prescribed positions, having bathed and robed with the proper decorum. Let the place of working be free from all disturbance, and let the preliminary purifications, banishings, and invocations be duly accomplished. And lastly, let the incense be kindled. Let him imagine his own figure, preferably robed in the proper magical garments and armed with the proper magical weapons, as enveloping his physical body, or standing near to and in front of him. Let him then transfer the seat of his consciousness to that imagined figure, so that it may seem to him that he is seeing with its eyes and hearing with its ears. This will usually be the great difficulty of the operation. Uh-oh, are we getting into some astral stuff here? Huh? Let him then cause that imagined figure to rise in the air to a great height above the earth. Let him then stop and look about him. It is sometimes difficult to open the eyes. Probably he will see figures approaching him or become conscious of a landscape. Let him speak to such figures and insist upon being answered, using the proper pentagrams and signs as previously taught. Let him travel about at will, either with or without guidance from such figure or figures. Let him further employ such special invocations as will cause to appear the particular places he may wish to visit. Let him beware of the thousand subtle attacks and deceptions that he will experience, carefully testing the truth of all with whom he speaks. Thus, a hostile being may appear clothed with glory. The appropriate pentagram will, in such a case, cause him to shrivel or decay. Practice will make the student infinitely wary in these matters. It is usually quite easy to return to the body, but should any difficulty arise, practice again will make the imagination fertile. For example, one may create in thought a chariot of fire with white horses and command the charioteer to drive earthwards. It might be dangerous to go too far or to stay too long, for fatigue must be avoided. The danger spoken of is that of fainting, or of obsession, or of loss of memory or other mental faculty. Finally, let the student cause his imagined body, in which he supposes himself to have, be traveling to coincide with the physical, tightening his muscles, drawing in his breath, and putting his forefinger to his lips. Let him then awake by a well defined act of will, and soberly and accurately record his experiences. It may be added that this apparently complicated experiment is perfectly easy to perform. It is best to learn by traveling, quote unquote, with a person already experienced in the matter. 2 or 3 experiments should suffice to render the student confident and even expert. All right, I'm going to take a drink and then section 6. Is this what they mean, by the way? Is this what they mean about test the spirit by the spirit? All right, section 6. The previous experiment has little value and leads to few results of importance, but it is susceptible of a development which merges into a form of dharana, concentration, and as such may lead to the very highest ends. The principal use of the practice in the last chapter is to familiarize the student with every kind of obstacle and every kind of delusion, so that he may be perfect master of every idea that may arise in his brain, to dismiss it, to transmute it, to cause it instantly to obey his will. Oh, snap! Oh, snap! Let him then begin exactly as before, but with the most intense solemnity and determination. Let him be very careful to cause his imaginary body to rise in a line exactly perpendicular to the earth's tangent at the point where his physical body is situated, or to put it more simply, straight upwards. Instead of stopping, let him continue to rise until fatigue almost overcomes him. If he should find that he has stopped without willing to do so, and that figures appear, let him at all costs rise above them. Yea, though his very life tremble on his lips, let him force his way upward and onward. All right, and the last little bit. Let him continue. Oh, there we go. Let him continue in this so long as the breath of life is in him. Whatever threatens, whatever allures, though it were Typhon and all his hosts loosed from the pit and leagued against him, or Satan and all his demons, though it were from the very throne of God himself, that a voice issues bidding him to stay and be content, let him struggle on, ever on. At last there must come a moment when his whole being is swallowed up in fatigue, overwhelmed by its own inertia. This in case of failure. The results of success are so many and wonderful that no effort is here made to describe them. They are classified tentatively in The Herb Dangerous, Part 2, The Psychology of Hashish. Let him sink when no longer can he strive, though his tongue by bitten though his tongue be bitten through with the effort and the blood gush from his nostrils into the blackness of unconsciousness, and then on coming to himself, let him write down soberly and accurately a record of all that hath occurred, yea, a record of all that hath occurred. Explicit. There you go. There you go, Liber O. And that in and of itself should have answered the question at the beginning of this stream of why Crowley. Wow, imagine that. Imagine that. Somebody already over 100 years ago was just so great to write down all the things that we needed to be the best magicians possible and to teach them. I believe in you all so very much, especially the regulars, the hard hitters who come in here very steadily, who I know have a very serious passion, and you know, like I say, I'm preaching to the choir in that case. I know you guys are already doing, but say maybe if you're doing on a level of just kind of dipping your toes in the water, well, that's why Crowley, because after having some of these notches in your belt, you should feel confident to just hop on in and swim, baby. Swimming in the waters of the mind, huh? That's what we're all doing out here. Sick. I love Liber O. I love magic. I love you all. Thank you for your presence here. For those of you who have been chilling with me and rocking with me and reading with me. For those of you who are catching this on a replay, well, same goes to you. But I would sure love to see you in live streams. For those of you who are maybe more intermediate or even advanced, well, your contributions to our study sessions certainly would be much appreciated and of the most value, the utmost value. All right, you guys. Well, that's going to do it for today. That's our reading for today. We will do at least one more Crowley before Liber Samic, some Holy Guardian Angel, more Holy Guardian Angel information, before we will go ahead and crack into the next book, full book I'm going to read. This book here, let me grab the dust jacket. So as you can see, it's actually 4 books in one. Mr. Jax 26 says, thank you for today's reading. Absolutely, Mr. Jax. No problem, man. Thank you for hanging out. Welcome. So this one is in 4 parts. Part 1, mysticism, which Crowley actually goes into quite a bit of yoga type of, more kind of like the 8 limbs of Raja Yoga. Part 2, magic, he goes into kind of just some of your basics in magic, your magical tools, all that. Magic in theory and practice is kind of like his version of Eliphas Levi's dogma and ritual or transcendental magic. And then 4, Thelema is going into aspects of Thelema, some historical stuff. And yeah, so I don't know that we'll ever read this one front to back. We might read like part 1 out of it would probably be pretty sick and pretty helpful. But all things in due time. For now, we're at least going to go over these AA Libers that are going to help us to become sick magicians, because that's what we're trying to be, right? Sick magicians. Sick in the modern sense, not sick in the sense that Crowley would have probably thought of it. He probably would have thought a lot of these magicians out here are sick magicians in what it would have meant for his time, huh? But I don't need to go into that too much. You all get it. If you've been hanging around and doing this for even a year or two, you can already see that, oh my goodness, oh my gracious. Unless, of course, you've already been swallowed into the jaws of madness, in which case we're hoping to swallow you back out. All right. I'm gonna stop yapping there. I'm gonna go try to make some money. How's that sound? That sounds good to me. I hope you all are going to start tracing out some pentagrams and some hexagrams. Start with those lesser ones. Don't do the greater ones first. Those are usually meant to be done once you have a pretty solid um, understanding of the lesser ones. And part of all of this too is committing it to memory. That's a thing with all this magic or even yoga or whatever. Because once it's locked in on that level, well, now it has become a part of you. So again, if you get dropped off in the middle of the jungle or whatever may befall you in life, you're able to do these things. You're still able to carry out the great work, huh? And I know that some of you are going to just be so marvelous in doing so because you're already so marvelous, and that's just going to make you that much more marvelous. All right, I'm done yapping. I'm done yapping. I'm wishing you all a good rest of your day. I'm wishing you all success. I'm wishing you all love. This has been Jay Balvale. This has been Aleister Crowley's Liber O, and I will see you for the next session. Bye bye. Oh, if you're new, be sure to hit a like, share, and subscribe. And